Hello friends, welcome to another video. First I'm going to introduce you to my second furry friend. This is Levi. I love the patterns on him. I can't wait to see what he looks like when he gets older. He's very playful. If you go back to the last video I posted, Baz is in that one. He's in a room. He might come up and join me, I don't know. But they're very playful. Just like brothers. I'm going to put him in my lap and he might stay, he might disappear, I don't know. So today's review is Serpent and Dove by Shelley Mahurin. Shelby Mahurin. Wow, how many times to say that name? Sorry, Shelby. I love your books. I didn't mean to butcher your name. This one is book 1 of a trilogy, so I'll post the links for books 2 and 3 in the description box below after I have read them. There's nothing written on the back of this one. That's strange. Well, there is, but it's very short. Bound is one to love, honor, or burn. A witch and a witch hunter thrust into holy matrimony. There is only one way such a story could end: a stake and a match. And that's literally the only thing that's written on it. Like there's no other thing here. There is a map at the beginning of the book, which I love. I love when they do maps. It's a map of the continent and then the capital city in the corner, just a little bit smaller. I love when they do that, so you can get a view, get an idea of where people are when they're talking. So I'll read the main characters out. The main characters, the witch is Louise, and the witch hunter is Captain Reed. We just call him Reed. She calls him Chas. It's loosely based on France, so they speak French. Occasionally it's in English, but like they use French words. And the witch hunters, they call them chasseurs. So she calls him Chas, or chasseurs, Chas, Chass. She calls him as a nickname, obviously an insult because she doesn't really like him because he's a witch hunter. Louise goes by Lou. And her best friend Coco, who is also a witch, and her mother Morgan LeBlanc. The head mistress of the one brothel that we see a lot is Madame LaBelle. Then we have on Captain Reed's side, the other Chaucers are Ansel is an initiate. He's not a full Chaucer yet, but he's an initiate and he helps do a lot. And then Jean-Luc is Reed's supposed best friend, but he's got jealousy issues, which they show in the book. And then the archbishop who runs the church, who's in charge of the Chaucers. And then the prince from the royal family, Prince Beau, makes a very serious appearance in the end of the book, so I feel like he's going to be more important in the second book. And I'll mention Sally is Reed's first love, and her sister was murdered, and her father deals in magical items that are from the black market, and we're pretty sure they suspect that's why his sister was murdered. So in this world, it was that continent on the map was originally a witch's world, and witches are, of course, they have real magic, but they're not mean. They just want to live in peace with nature. And there's white witches and blood witches, and the white witches have to have balance. Like any spell they cast, there has to be give and take. So like a life for a life, or an injury for an injury. Like if you want to break a lock or a code, something else has to break. Like say, your finger or something like that, right? Whereas blood witches, their magic comes from within and they use their blood. So, like, the Coco is a blood witch and she's covered in scars from having to cut herself to use her magic, to use her blood. So it's the age-old war of the church against witches and persecuting them and thinking they're evil. And a lot of the witches are mad because, like, the regular guys have come in. They used to live in harmony, and then they started fighting all the time and getting, like, the people were jealous that they didn't have magic. And they decided that witches were evil, so there was fighting involved and killing, and, like, it's just sort of like that old vendetta, like, you killed, so I have to keep killing, and yeah, so the background of the war. There's a little mystery with Lou that we do find out in this book, why she's hiding, she's pretending to be normal. She doesn't really use her magic a lot because she's hiding. But circumstances happen where she has an incident with Captain Reed, and the only way to solve it properly without Reed losing his job was for them to get married, because it's very old school and old fashioned, and your wife is your property and you can do what you please, and it'll make some people angry, some of that stuff, but of course Reed is a total gentleman, as always. So that's how they end up married, like it says on the back, a witch and a witch hunter thrust into holy matrimony. So they've got a little marriage going on, and hijinks ensue because obviously Lou is a sassy, independent woman trying to hide, and Reed he starts off fairly uptight and proper and follow all the rules and all that stuff. But there's more to the story than that, obviously. There's a background, the reason why Lou is hiding. So many little twists and not really plot holes. I want to say plot holes, but it's not plot holes. Mysteries and things that get solved throughout the book. Definitely funny, definitely entertaining. The forced proximity trope, the one bed trope. It is a romance, but it's a young adult romance. It is spicy. I'd give it 2 out of 5 peppers. Like, it's not crazy but spicy, but like they do it as Harper teen, so like 14 and up could read it no problem. Should be fine anyway. There's lots of swearing. There, like I said, there is sex. It does go into detail, but like it's not. I wouldn't call it smut. But yes, definitely entertaining. Definitely some twists thrown in. There's definitely magic, and magical creatures and demons. No dragons. I don't think there will be either. But there's witches. Good and bad witches, just like there's good and bad people everywhere in the world. Parts of it I found predictable, but not overly predictable. Other parts completely threw me for a loop. Definitely some emotions. Like I said, you get angry at the very, very traditionalist old school rules, but it is an old world, of course. Or I guess they're technically also enemies to lovers, but they become friends to lovers, obviously. I had this book. I don't have that book anymore, but the original book that I was reading, this one I've literally only read like a chunk at the back. Like I've read like a tiny little bit at the back because I read all the way to page 503, and then there was a misprint and it jumped back to page 473 straight to 503 again, and then it ended. So I was missing the last 40 pages of the book. I was very upset. I got very angry. I wanted to throw the book. And it was late at night when I got to this point, and it was a Saturday, so the bookstore didn't open till 12 o'clock the next day. But thankfully, they did have a copy and they did exchange it for me, so I got to finish the book the next day. Uh, talk about leaving you on a cliffhanger, right? This one actually does. It's actually wrapped up nicely. Like most of the things are wrapped up, but obviously there's still some problems that can happen. There's still some things that are not solved. There's still some things that are not finalized. Obviously, because there's two more books. There's a small, I wouldn't call it a cliffhanger. I wouldn't call it a cliffhanger. It's, but you would want to keep reading to see how they get everything else solved and finished and whatnot. Definitely recommend. 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. Like I had to, like I said, I couldn't not finish the last chapter. Like I had to go out and get the book. I needed to know what happened. So glad I have the second one. Totally, yes, 5 out of 5 stars. Highly recommend. Excellent writing, great storyline, great plot, complex characters. They feel very relatable. The whole plot is very relatable. It's very, excuse me, it's very evenly paced throughout the book with dips and valleys and excitement and action and fighting and yeah, very interesting. Highly recommend. I love the artwork on the cover too with the serpent. And the next one is very similar, just different colorings. Anyway, please check it out. And I'll put the links for the next one in the description box so you can watch it after I post it. And I hope you guys have an absolutely wonderful day.